Remind everyone, more cardiac deaths happen in the U.S. between Christmas and New Year's Day, according to the American Heart Association. And there are things you can do to help reduce your chances of that happening to you or a loved one, especially when you're supposed to be celebrating together. Here to talk about the holiday heart health and what you can do is Dr. Brooke Goldner, friend of the show, been friend of the show since 2019, and we love it. And you're back always just to remind us, take care of your hearts. There's a lot of love in here, so we want to keep it pumping.
Yes, and I don't want to be Dr. Downer over the holidays, but I do want people to live through the holidays.
Yes,
I like
please.
to save lives, so thank you for having me on to
Of
talk
course.
about this.
So let's talk about it. We got our red on, you know, reminding everyone of the Christmas season, but the hearts. We did not. Great minds think alike. That's what it is. But okay, what can we do? Because we know people are getting together. They're already stressed out, probably 2-day last-minute presents, trying to get meal plans, getting on a plane to go somewhere. Before they even get there, they're stressed out. So what do we need to do to alleviate that and take care of the ticker here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why we actually have an increase in lethal heart attacks on Christmas Day. More people die of a heart attack on Christmas Day than any other time of the year, followed by New Year's. So this is a really big week to be aware of it. And it's for a lot of reasons. You mentioned stress.
Yes.
That can affect your blood pressure. You already have heart disease, and that's going to do it. Sometimes people have missed their medications. They're traveling. They're doing things. But one of the biggest reasons is that people delay care over the holidays. You know, you start getting that chest pain, you're not feeling too well, but you don't want to ruin the holiday and go to the ER. And so people will often deal with symptoms and not get treatment, and maybe that could have been prevented from being lethal had they gotten care early enough. So it's really important also to talk about the signs and make sure people are aware and get help. It doesn't ruin the holidays to go to the hospital as much as it is for somebody to have a fatal heart attack.
Pay attention to the signs.
Yes.
Also, pay attention to your, this is me, pay attention to your plate. Okay?
Yes, heart disease does not happen in a moment. You know, people think of a heart attack as a sudden event, and it is, but it is a chronic disease.
It is.
And heart disease is actually caused by, oh, look, we have my B-roll up here. Look, so heart disease is actually something that happens over time where because of your diet, as you said, high in saturated fat, these clogs form in the arteries. And over the holidays, people tend to seal the deal on that clog, right? They're eating the worst food of the year. I've been watching all morning, all the talk about unhealthy eating. And so sometimes that final meal of the, you know, the ham on the plate, the cookies, the cake, that actually is the last meal that clogs up that artery that feeds the heart, and that results in a heart attack.
It's also called grazing, because you're like, oh, I ate that one plate, and it's like, oh, I need to get back for this and for this. You're eating more than you normally would of things that you're not normally used to.
Right, and you already have that heart disease. So there's things that we can do about that. I always like to say lead with the veggies, right? If you're going to have that dish that you know stuff that you shouldn't be eating, start with the salad first, right? Give yourself, have the morning green smoothie, you know, I love that. Give yourself the good foods. Don't just make it all about the binge, but give yourself some good things. We're lucky to be in Houston where it's going to be 80 degrees.
I know.
Be active, get outside, go for walks together, throw a ball, and really make the holidays about the fun. There's music, there's lights, there's community, there's so many things to do besides just eat. And if we make it about the fun, we can really do something to, you know, make the holiday more meaningful than just about the food itself.
Now, I haven't asked you this next question in a while, but I want to bring this back up because there are a lot of people who are going to be by themselves. And so there could be stress in that respect, but also feeling down on themselves. That could cause problems with your heart too. So what can people who may be by themselves this time of the year do to continue to keep their hearts moving the way they need to?
You talk about things that are close to my heart. So yes, a lot of people experience holiday blues, and and I think it could be compounded by the fact that it's a time where everyone's together with their families, with their friends, and some people aren't. So one thing I always recommend is that we reach out to each other. If you have a friend or a family member or a neighbor that might be alone. My husband his family lived in Tokyo when he was in college, and so he would often be alone on campus over the holidays, and it would mean so much to him when a family would invite him, you know, so he wouldn't be by himself. So I think we should all be aware of that. Maybe there's people alone that we can invite. And if you're alone and you're feeling down, my prescription is always to my patients, say yes to every invite, even though you don't want to go. When you're feeling down, there's like a gravitational pull, and you know, bah humbug, right? But I say you have to say yes. Let yourself be with others. You know, don't stay home alone, because we really do need each other.
Most certainly. And Dr. Goldner, you're always so great about this. And she, like I said, been friends of the show since 2019, and we love the advice, but it also is just a reminder during the season to take care of yourself. Not just everyone else. Take care of yourself so you can be around for next year too?
Well, that's what I really want, and that's why it's so important to bring up these topics, right? Is that a lot of times people are just thinking about Christmas Day and then New Year's Day, but I want people to celebrate more Christmases.
Yes.
I want us to have more New Year's, and when we take care of ourselves, with something we do for the people we love as well, who need us to be around.
And quickly, your website so people can get more information.
My website's goodbyelupus.com, and I'm live all the time giving free advice. And actually at goodbyelupus.com right now, online for free, I have classes on how to reverse disease with supermarket foods that people can watch for free, learn how to get healthy, and do it for yourself and for everyone who loves you.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it together, everybody. So thank you, as always. Well,